Welcome back to TFR eSports Season 25. Here we are once again for the F3 division here at Silverstone for the British Grand Prix Round 8 of 15. And we've got 15 drivers here ready tonight to go all out to try and get pole position here at this fantastic circuit, the home of racing and the home of TFR eSports, that is for sure. We've got 30 seconds to go then of this session. I'm your commentator, CGH, for this stream this evening. I am carrying a bit of a cold, so I do apologise if this isn't quite up to the usual standards, but I will try my best to bring the action as you see it. Currently, Ledanes, this man here, is on pole position, and he's coming through the penultimate corner now. The new championship leader. Can he put down a statement in that beautiful Gulf livery Williams? Yes, he can. He goes 7 tenths clear of Raheem in second place, and the checker flag is now out, and we've got Carbod there on the circuit down in 6th. That was Nepatal actually that came across the line. I was looking at the radar there. We've got a bunch of cars that have got quali bans tonight, hence why they are stuck in the pit lane at the moment and will not be improving. Ultimate Stan here in the Sauber tonight is absolutely flying along here in the middle sector. I'm going to keep an eye on Alfie as well, because here he comes and he has invalidated. So an absolute shocker from him. Third in the championship, and he will be starting rock bottom tonight, unless he is someone that already had an engine penalty, which I can double check that if that is the case, but I don't think he did. And that is an absolute disaster there for Alfie. But here comes Ultimate Stan then through the final few turns. Takes quite a bit of curb there on the inside line. Can he get anywhere near Ledanes? No, he actually doesn't improve in the end. Ledanes 7 tenths clear of the pack, and Ellis there is at a moment and he's off the circuit, and that is pole for Ledanes then. What a gap he has at the front there of 7.5 tenths, and well, that is quite stunning pace from your new championship leader, and it's going to take some going to beat him in the main race. He's got Raheem right behind him, Ultimate Stan there as well, but his nearest rival's down in 5th, with then Alfie right down at the rock bottom. And, well, let's just see. So Scones then didn't quite realise he had his penalty, so we're going to come to a solution with that one. We're trying to figure out actually where will he start. So we've got, I think the pole man is on the left hand side, second is right, third left. So what will happen with Scones is he's going to pull to the side at the very start and let everyone go, and that is going to be how he's going to get around that penalty. Unfortunate for him, but he did obviously have the penalty like the bunch of drivers all at the bottom of your screen. But it's Ledanes then on pole by a mega margin there. You have to remember there was quite a few people that were a little bit out of the picture in that qualifying session, and that is what has allowed Ledanes there to really romp away with that one. But Alfie, a lot of work to do for the two Haas cars, rock bottom there of the table. And we have had 8 different, not quite different winners, but we've had 8 British winners from the last 8 races here in TFR eSports and the British Grand Prix. The question is that streak about to get broken by Ledanes tonight? And let's see what's going to happen. So, yeah, I think that's what we're going to conclude with Scones. He's going to pull to the side, and I think it was just a simple error from him there of not quite realising he had the penalty. So he's going to get out the way of everybody at the start. And there's a few tweaks for tonight's races and for the remainder of the season. Ghosting is now off. So, excuse me, we're expecting, maybe a little bit of shenanigans with that at street circuits this season, but I hope for Scones' sake he can get to the side of the circuit enough at the start that there's going to be no chaos here. If he can do this, then we're all sorted and a solution has been found, but it could be a little bit of an interesting start, this one. Ledane's then top of the standings and on pole. What an opportunity it is for him to build that gap now in the standings, try and get a bit of a gap to his rivals. You've got the likes of Ultimate Stand that are on a charge in the championship, but it is Ledane's then on pole here in Silverstone, and we are underway. Good start then from Ledane's. Gets a great launch off the line. Not so for Ultimate Stand. And there is a bit of contact at the very back. I think someone has hit scones there at the very back. So that could get controversial later on. But it is Ledane's then who still leads. A little bit wide there into turn 2. But maintains his position. There's the two McLarens now. A second and third. What a start from them on their home turf here, and Raheem there trying to put the pressure on Ledane's, but has his teammate hot on his tail with Ultimate Stand then dropping down into fourth with Caramel now right behind him, and look at that, there is the swap between the two McLarens. Raheem there getting super wide in through that corner, and it has just allowed Ollie Bean then up into P2. Both McLarens on the soft tyres at the start of this race. It's only 25%, so we are expecting a very simple one-stop race, but no more shenanigans apart from that. But look at the back. Yeah, there is damage on Alfie's car. That could get controversial. Two title rivals there that have made contact at the very back, and well, let's see how that one plays out in the shooter. But there is your entire order. They are all in the same picture. That is how clean of a start that has been, as Veer now goes up into 6th place ahead of Larry. Larry with a qualifying penalty right down the back has had a decent start there up into 7th place, but Veer then back tonight for Alpine, trying to put the pressure now on Curbold. A real mix of strategies. So Alfie is in the pits then, so really early pit stop for him. He'll have to go into the hard tyres and hope they can survive to the end, as Nepatal makes an ambitious move there up the inside into turn 1, and Scones then still stuck at the back of the pack, and you can see there the front wind change. Medium tyres going on the car for Alfie, so he's confident he can get those to the end of the race, but what a disappointment for him. Picking up that damage from Scones earlier on. Speaking of Scones, he's going for a move down the inside then on the Mercedes. They're making a contact there at the end of the ones and straight, and Scones does get past Luke 2 Red eventually. A little bit scrappy though, and that is the first of many, hopefully, for his race that he's going to be picking off after that engine penalty. Raheem then has recovered nicely though, up in 3rd place. He's now putting the pressure back on his teammate, who's still in the DRS of Ledane's out front. Ledane's with that remarkable pace in qualifying, unable to pull clear at the minute of the chasing pack, and there is a serious chasing pack behind, because look at that, there is the move then from Veer on Carabold. Again, soft tyres making the difference, and you've got two RBs in the background as well there, shaping up a move, as LS goes very wide at the end of the Camel straight there, and will now have a little look to the outside on his teammate once more. Both of these drivers struggling a little bit in qualifying, but it's Northey, the lead RB at the moment. But there's a little gap now between Ultimate Stan and Veer after Veer making that overtake on Curbold. It has allowed for a gap to emerge between those two cars, but Veer really will need to get his foot down to try and get in the DRS. That's how Ultimate Stan's actually dropped out of the DRS of the McLaren. I'll be interested to see how the McLarens play this throughout this race in terms of strategy and how they're going to work together to try and beat the unstoppable Ledanes in qualifying with the pace that he had. And look at that, Luke 2 Red then is back ahead of Scones. Scones really unable to make any progress at the minute, down in 14th, and is really struggling. Ledanes will know his two rivals are 14th and 15th at the minute, would you believe it? And he needs to get a move on. Ollie Beans then made a little bit of a mistake in 2nd place. He's dropped out of DRS on Ledanes, and his teammate will now be surely on the radio being like, we need to swap positions once again, because at the minute Raheem is putting the pressure on, although Ledanes has got a penalty. That is early to pick up a time penalty, and the first of everybody. And Ledanes then picks up a penalty. And look at that, there's more incident there at the back there between Scones. He just cannot get through. We've got a yellow flag now out for something. But, oh, and Scones chucks out the inside, smacks into the Mercedes as well. And, well, he is in the walls in this race. That is for sure. And I would imagine a bit of frustration there as well. He's lost a lot of time to Action Rick. I don't quite know what went on there. But, well, this has not been the start that he would have hoped for at his home race tonight. We've had a bit of shenanigans up in front because there's two cars off, actually, both in the gravel there. That's Ellis and Larry there making a bit of contact. Both recover onto the circuit. But something's gone on there for those two to come to blows. But so now Scon's back up into 11th after those two cars going off the track. But meanwhile, further up then, so Ollie Bean is well outside of DRS. His teammate is now right on his tail. And like I say, will be pleading to be let through here to get after Ledanes. With the penalty as well for Ledanes, the McLarens here have to play this smart if they want a chance of winning for the first time since the opening round of the season. There goes Raheem to the outside, and he isn't let through. So the McLarens are going to scrap this out here. Whether that's the right decision, I'm not quite sure. But we are in the early stages, and he's round. Raheem's round. And completely drops it there with a bit of rear locking, you would imagine. Just couldn't quite get the car slowed down. And he rejoins the circuit. Going to be very touch and go with the RB here, but he is down in 6th now and has lost a ton of time. And he won't be happy at all about that because there was a bit of a move that he tried on his teammate, but it didn't quite work out. And in the end, and there he goes, he's getting swamped again here by Northey and the Ferrari, having a little look around the outside. But in the end, Raheem has lost out massively here when it was looking so good for McLaren in these opening laps. Raheem is tumbling down, and there goes Nepatal then up into P7. And there's a little move potentially in the background. The Williams having a little look down the inside, gets very late at the brakes and they make contact between Action Rick and Sci-Fi Mega Hype. Again, that might go to the stewards because Sci-Fi will be not happy about that at all. You got to remember, guys, it's a non-contact sport, but quite a bit of contact done there. But well, controversy left, right and centre at the beginning of this one, but Ledanes now has got a 3-second gap to Ollie Bean. Ollie Bean maybe starting to struggle a little bit on those soft tyres, and Ledanes is doing all that he needs to do at the minute. And there goes the stand then into the pits. Medium tyres, already getting rid of those. That is maybe a little bit early, but maybe he's going for a set of hard tyres, going for a bit of a different strategy here. We've got a couple more cars diving in the pit lane behind, but we've got Larry on the hard tyres at the very back, but he is stuck behind Ellis at the minute in that scrap for P13. Hard tyres are indeed going on the car for Ultimate Stan. And, well, let's see what he can do then in this next phase of the race, because he found himself up into P3. So the question will be there is, can he now put the pressure on Ollie Bean? Crazy, really, how McLaren were looking so good for a double podium, potentially going after the win here, but then already on lap 6 they are slipping away. There goes Action Rick then on Nepatal, a sweet exit for the Williams man, and he maintained, well, I think he does pick up that P5 position. And there's an almighty train further down behind the RB then of Ellis. We've also got another move there between Northey and Raheem. Raheem then getting ahead of Northey. He's coming under a lot of pressure though from that RB. I wonder if Raheem's got a bit of damage, and there's a move from the south where they make a bit of contact in the braking zone. But Larry, if he gets a good exit, then more contact there. And look at this, they're free wide. Larry's off though in the background. There goes Scones ahead, and he tumbles then down into 14th. And we have the top 3 in the pits. Ledanes then in, getting rid of those medium tyres. And it is hard tyres going on the car. So a real mix of strategies, it seems here. And nobody wanting to go onto the softs. Action Rick is going to take the lead here. Sorry, no, it's Curveball actually that has taken the lead, staying out on those medium towers. So too obviously has Action Rick. So they're the top two now. Danes then on the hards, Ollie Bean on the medium. So softs to mediums for Ollie Bean and Veer. So real mix of strategies. Ultimate Stan then has massively jumped Ollie Bean here by a good old way there. So the undercut proving to be very powerful. And if he gets his foot down on those warmed up hard tires, he could still be in contention here to cause a bit of bother for Ledanes in terms of winning this race. That penalty for Ledanes could be very, very costly come the end of the race if he doesn't build up that gap on those fresh tires. But he's in a bit of clear air at the minute, and as long as for his case he has the pace to burn, then he will be on his way to victory, unless something crazy happens in these closing stages. The gap is about 0.7 of a second that Ultimate Stan has to turn around here, with Ollie Bean picking up a penalty now as well, so he really is starting to struggle in this phase of the race. Carabold is in the pit lane. You'd imagine Action Rick, he stays out. Maybe as well gambling on a potential late safety car or something as well. That does happen sometimes, and people are rewarded massively in this F3 division. But I would say as well, though, on a circuit like Silverstone, safety cars are probably quite unlikely. But look at that behind. Ollie Bean is closing back up to Ultimate Stan. However, with that penalty now, his life is going to be very, very difficult in terms of making anything of this race. He could still secure a podium, that is for sure. But again, he'll be another one that's praying that there's no safety car here, because Action Rick has got about a 10-second lead over the McLaren. And Ollie Bean then gaining a lot on the Sauber down the Wellington Straight. Not quite close enough just yet. But further down, we've got Carbol then just coming out the pits then ahead of Raheem on a fresh set of soft tyres. So he'll be one to keep an eye on in these latter stages, with Ferrari having a lot of pace to use here. So he could still be staring at a potential podium Carbol, because if he clears Veer quick enough here, and with the penalty for Ollie Bean, he could definitely still have a say in this race. And there goes Ultimate Stan off the circuit, so a bit of an error there, and Ollie Bean will sense the opportunity to try and make the move. Goes to the outside on the Sauber. That's a brave thing to try, particularly at that corner. And Action Rick is 10-second time penalty for speed in the pit lane, but there goes Ollie Bean then right around the outside on Ultimate Stan, and he gets it done. Brilliant move from Ollie Bean. What racing that is. And he moves up into second place, but Ultimate Stan's coming right back at him, unable to do so into the first corner. But super stuff from Ollie Bean there. And like I say, now he has to somehow get his foot down and get that gap over Ultimate Stan before he runs out of laps here. But so Carabold then is still closing in on Veer, and keep an eye out the road there. Sauber actually getting very close to the McLaren once more, not quite able to make any overtake, but Carabold is closing in, like I say, on the Alpine. But Raheem is still there. Raheem is getting dragged along quite nicely in the DRS of Carabold, and we could have a tasty little freeway scrap here for P4. I think they might be running out of laps to catch Ollie Bean in terms of that final podium spot, but you never know. I've seen stranger things happen, and Ultimate Stan is actually hanging on a little bit here to Ollie Bean. Whether he'll be able to have a go, I'm not quite sure. Has a fantastic exit though out of that corner. I think Ollie Bean is saving that ERS a little bit, and Ultimate Stan might just have a little look down the inside then on the McLaren. Not quite able to make a move just there. It gets very close though, and we'll have a little look down the inside into this corner. They've got to be so careful here they don't make contact, and Ultimate Stan manages to keep it nice and clean, but has to just remain in third for now. He needs to remember though that McLaren has a penalty, so he will pick up the position anyways. But there is Ned Patel then ahead of Northey now for P7, and well, Raheem then really close to Carbold now. Carbold having a bit of a poor lap there, losing a bit of time to Veer, and well, his chances here of a top 4 finish are rapidly fading away as we run out of laps, and I just can't quite see how he's going to do it, because he is seriously coming under pressure from Raheem. Raheem could still recover to a top 5 finish here, which you'd have to say is pretty damn good, considering the way it was looking earlier after that spin into the third last corner, not quite the penultimate corner. And well, let's see, is Garwell going to survive? I've got a yellow flag actually. That's Ellis. Ellis has a spin there, and that is down into 15. So Ultimate Stand now picks up a time penalty. So Ultimate Stand now really will have to get this move done on Ollie Bean, because he now is in all sorts of bother. Raheem then has made the move on Carbold, or has he? They're still wheel to wheel, they're side by side there. And, well, Raheem getting very punchy, and look at that. Carbold a bit more punchy from him as he shuts the door on the inside, and Raheem will have to give that another go. And these guys are now just scrapping this out for P5. They have accepted where they are, and they're not going to catch Veer with the time that they're losing, battling this one out. Ultimate Stand is still in the DRS of Ollie Bean, or he was, he still is, but he'll have to set that up for one late last minute lunge, you'd imagine. Sci-Fi was battling with his teammate there. Alfie, I think, struggling with a bit of tyre wear now, because he's got Action Rick all over his tail. But Alfie at the minute is gaining, well, a slender amount of points over Scones, who's now starting to bring himself back into play. But those two really have not been able to recover well in this race, considering the pace that they've shown earlier in the season. And at the minute, this is a dream race for Ledanes, and he is marching to victory with about a 6.5 second lead out front now, despite the penalties for the top 3. But Alfie here is in a spot above her, and I'm keeping an eye once more on those gaps up the road. We got Ultimate Stand again getting fairly close, but not quite close enough. There is Carbold again coming under pressure from Raheem, and Raheem is going to go for the move this time around. He goes to the outside, and it's easy as you like for Raheem, up into P5. Brilliant stuff from him on the penultimate lap of the race, or about to go onto the penultimate lap, and he is now up into 5th with Carbold's soft tyres probably already starting to wear off a bit. They're not really a great race tyre, and around a circuit like this. So this is the other battle. It's a 4-way scrap for P9 here. It's not the biggest points in the world, but it's a 4-way scrap at least. And look at that mistake there from Cypher Mega Hype, and Alfie gets the position. So Alfie on those old medium tyres is still going along nicely here. And look at that. Cypher Mega Hype just having to hang on, and Scones is round. He is round and on the grass. And, well, he kept it out the wall, but his day goes from bad to worse. He might still be able to catch up to Action Rick with the penalty that he's got, but it has really not been the greatest of days for Scones, and in the wars once again. And he'll be just glad when this one is over for him, because it's been a night to forget in terms of his chances for the championship. Right. We are not far away from the final lap. What's going to go on between this Haas pair here? There's no team orders here between these pair, because Alfie is overtaken once more by his teammate, who very almost collides with his teammate as he rejoins the circuit. Action Rick gets past as well, but Alfie then back up into P9, but I'm not too sure he's going to be able to hang on in terms of Action Rick, but Action Rick does have a penalty, so he should be all good there on the final lap. We're going to move up the order though, because we've got Ultimate Stand then with this last lap pursuit of Ollie Beam, and the question is, can he find something from nowhere to just put himself ahead of that McLaren? Ollie Bean is defending hard. He knows he's not got long to go just to hang on to this second place. It'll be a great second place for the McLaren man, and well, he looks like he's doing all he needs to do at the minute. Larry getting another time penalty at the very back there. There's still a big old scrap for P9. That's very quickly starting to merge into about a 5-way scrap for P9, with Action Rick trying to have another little go potentially. But we're going to keep an eye on this. And Ultimate Stan's got another penalty. So that means he might just drop off the podium. And he will. Veer is going to pick up a podium here because of that terrible mistake there from Ultimate Stan. However, this man out front, Ledane's a dominant pole position, and he is going to be dominating in the championship now because he is going to win the British Grand Prix here in TFR Esports F3. What a drive from Ledane's. That is a statement victory from him in that Gulf Williams, and he will be absolutely delighted with that. Ollie Bean is in second place. He doesn't quite keep that streak going of British winners in TFR Esports at the British GP. Veer is third. He picks up a podium, fortunately for him, after another penalty for Ultimate Stan on the last lap, as he was pushing to get second place. Raheem hung on for P5 in the end, actually got that gap extended a little bit to Karabol, with his teammate Nepatal behind in 7th. Northie is in 8th. That's solid points, actually, for the RB. And obviously Action Rick with that 10-second penalty tumbles down the order. Alfie in 9th. Scones in the end got ahead of Cypher Mega Hype for 10th, with then Luke Tured, Action Rick, Larry and Ellis completing your order. So that's your lot then. And a decent race, I thought. Maybe not quite the battle we had for lead, and I thought at the beginning that the two McLarens maybe could have worked together a bit better to get that double podium secured, if you like, because that was definitely up for grabs today. But in the end, they've got one car on the podium and another car in the top 5. They'll be pleased with that. That is a great result for their Constructors' Championship. And, yeah, big losses for Alfie and Scones. And I'm sure that will probably go to the steward's room with Alfie and Scones, because I think Scones was getting out of the way because of his engine penalty. And I think there was just a collision there. And, yeah, it's not ideal. But a superb victory for Ledane's. And you have to say he's 100% the favourite now. We've still got a bit to go of the season. We're only really at the halfway point. But a win like that, where you're going to get that gap now over 30 points, you're looking good. You are looking very good for the championship. That's your final results then on the screen. Ledane's won by 7 seconds in the end, which on paper probably isn't too much, but it felt like a lot, that's for sure, because no one was stopping him. He gets the clean sweep of pole position, fast lap, and the race win. And if his teammate in Kerbal didn't lead a couple laps, he would have had an entire Grand Slam with that one. That was perfection from Ledane's. Ollie Bean is in second place, a Brit on the podium, and then we have Veer in third as well there. But another good F3 race, and quite a lot of drama throughout, and a lot of controversy. I haven't really had a chance to get through the chat on the stream, but yes, quite a few people saying about that Scones and Alfie incident off the line, but that is controversial, if you know, the peak of controversy. But well, lots to discuss after that one. So let's go and say, let's go Williams. A great day for Williams. Great win for Ledane. And AB saying a champion's drive from Ledane's. It kind of was. It was indeed a bit of a champion's drive. And that is the first kind of inklings there of really seeing a bit of a statement laid down by a driver in this division. But we'll be back next week for the final race before our Christmas and New Year break, which will be the Hungarian Grand Prix. We'll be back at the Hungaroring for another exciting race of this F3 division. I've been your commentator, CJH, and if you enjoyed the stream, make sure you subscribe to the channel for the races to come this evening, and we'll see you in the next one.